Just as a reminder, so at the end of the conference, we usually have, kind of some wrap-up remarks and some, some opportunity to kind of talk a little bit as a group. So even at the end of today, I just talked with Joe Shufu, and he'll give us some thoughts on time as well. So that's pretty exciting. And if you have the chance to stay until the end of the conference, that's a nice little treat that you're going to get for that. So let's get into our next speaker. Our next speaker is a Daoist Gate Center regular, and one of those people that you don't realize is such an encyclopedia of knowledge until you sit down and talk with them. In subjects such as sustainability, where she has created nature-based holistic programs that inspire children and adults to connect with the natural world, and her practice of holistic consultation, where she uses tools such as Feng Shui, astrology, herbal medicine, sound and color therapy, and sacred space design. She can hold court talking about any of these subjects for literally hours. To be honest, talking with her about her upcoming presentation always took a little while because honestly, I wanted to know more about the subject matter. Feng Shui is not something that I'm super familiar with, except for the conversations I've had with Zhou Shifu and some occasional bits and pieces. But she's an encyclopedia in this subject. What's even more impressive than the body of knowledge that she possesses is the way that she can seamlessly combine these sometimes far-ranging topics into something holistic, unified, relevant, and helpful to what's happening right in front of us. Her talk is going to guide us as we transform our homes into sacred, high vibrational spaces through the ancient Daoist art of Feng Shui. The ancient Bagua map will show up several times throughout this conference. First here with its pivotal importance in mapping out space with Feng Shui. Later today, when we look up at the stars and see how our ancestors came to receive this information and see it evolve over time with Stargazer Lee's talk. And then tomorrow, we even get to understand its relevance to acupuncture with Henry McCann and its relevance to the I Ching with Master Joe's talk. Cynthia will walk us through color therapy, directional energies, crystals, specific music and flowers and incense in order to bring balance, intention, and harmony into every corner of your living space. I'm really excited for this accessible guide to using Feng Shui for ourselves and to transform our homes. Cynthia, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Sam, very much. I have to share the screen here, I guess. Okay, let me see here. There we go. How does that look? Okay.
Cynthia, that's the one that we're seeing your whole screen, and we're only seeing half of the slide.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Half of the slide. Huh, okay, let me escape this for a minute.
Cynthia, the last time we did this, you went out of screen sharing and found the compatible screen sharing instead of the non-compatible.
Okay.
You click on the which screen share.
All right. I think I'm going to get out of this then. Sorry about this. In the compatible one. All right. So, welcome everyone to the Sacred Home, Sacred Self, using Feng Shui principles for living in harmony. So we all are sacred selves, and our homes are our sacred sanctuaries. So in order to create that temple in the home of the sacred self, Feng Shui provides the opportunity to support that. Okay, now I'm just trying to go to my slide screens here. Okay, sorry about this. I don't know why I can't. There we go. Okay. So, whoops, there. So I just wanted to explain some of my journey that started over 30 years ago with Feng Shui. When I was living in Massachusetts, I had the opportunity to do a 10-month apprenticeship program from a very well-known in the area teacher, Naomi Marie Priam. We called her Omi, and she had us get together. There was approximately 10 of us, and we would meet monthly for these 10 months for the weekend. We would go over the principles and applications. She discussed the compass, direction, Feng Shui. She discussed as that as part of the form school, which was the traditional classic Feng Shui. And then the more westernized Feng Shui, which is the black hat set. So we would meet monthly. We would go over these different principles and applications. And then we would go out into the field every month to one of the students' homes or offices. And we would do a team analysis in the field to do the Feng Shui. We would then come back and we would go over our results of what we found that was harmonic, things that needed cures or improvement. And so having that hands-on discovery and experience really helped integrate the ideas of Feng Shui in everyday life, both on a home level and in the office itself, because people spend most of their time either in the office or in the home. And so it's very important to make sure that you create a sacred space where the energy, the chi flows very well. Then I did an intensive training with a black hat master. His name was Stephen Devine. He was in Newton at the time. And he went through the Bagua, which was their teachings from the black hat set. And it combines Tibetan Buddhism, and it was originally created by Grandmaster Lin Yun in the 1980s. So it's more of a westernized part of the Feng Shui training. Okay. So I wanted to say the goals for this session are for people to have a basic understanding of principles and the applications of Feng Shui. We're going to go through the Bagua mapping. We're going to take a journey through practical applications to elevate the home and to nurture, inspire, and harmonize your life, which is why this precedence of the sacred home and the sacred self combined together are so important. I'm going to go through a few topics of color therapy, and last but not least, some of the Feng Shui do's and don'ts, which will be fun to go through. So what is Feng Shui? Well, it's an ancient art and science of arranging spaces to harmonize people with their environments. And Feng means wind, Shui means water. These are two very powerful forces, and when they're combined, they create a whole energy field of themselves to usher in the elements of qi in a harmonic way. It's also known as geomancy in the Middle Eastern tradition, which is also ancient as well. So creating let me just move this out of the way here for a moment. Creating the sacred in everyday spaces. So life itself is sacred. So, and when we think of ourselves as sacred beings, then of course we want our environments to reflect that sacredness that we know about ourselves. Also, our families, our work colleagues, and places that we meet up with people. So every space has the power to heal, uplift, and inspire us. It is that we go into these spaces, whether our home or our office, and we create those things. It's up to us to make that creation a reality. Creating sacred space is essential for our overall well-being. Now, I have this little thing going on here. So the sacred, whoops, sorry about that. The sacred personal home is your shelter. It's your abode, your dominion. And in order to be out in the world harmoniously, we must also have a harmonious existence in the home. There are physical sanctuaries which create that balance, that harmony, and that peace, so that when we're in the home, we are being fed and inspired and uplifted, so that when we step outside of our sanctuaries into the world at large, we have the beginnings of peacefulness and harmony within ourselves and within our homes, which we then take metaphorically to the outside world. And one of the Hermetic principles is as within, so without. So what's going on internally for each one of us is then reflected in the mirror in the outside world. So it's really important to work on the self, the sacred self, so that our outside reality shifts as we evolve in creating that sacred space within. So you create the sacred space to cultivate that sacred essence within. And sacred spaces and practices daily offer clarity and alignment. So basically, when you have like a daily practice that you wake up to greet the sun, or you wake up to do your meditation, or to do your Tai Chi or your yoga, or your writing, if you're a writer in your journals, if you create a sacred space and time in the beginning of the day to begin with, then that carries you throughout the entire day. And these benefits in creating those daily practices, they support inner calmness, they support focus and joy, and they also support the goals that you have for yourself and your life intentions. So it's very important that you have that balance of creating sacred self within and the sacred home environment as well. So the Feng Shui history is very ancient. They say the practice is over 6,000 years old. It's probably older than this as well. The roots are in ancient China. And the original purpose, which was later discovered as the form school, was to arrange the buildings and spaces within a town or a city for creating a harmonic setting for the dwelling of people. And it incorporates a sense of the sacred, auspicious energies within the land itself. This was the original intention. People would go into the land, they would locate the best space where chi was, and the mountains and the natural landscape environment to determine where it was best to place the homes, the city buildings, and things of this nature. They first went into the nature to discover the natural environment and what was best to work in collusion with that natural environment to bring peace and harmony to the people. In the modern day art of Feng Shui, it is known as the art of placement. That's more of what the Western world sees it as, which is quite lovely because it is an art itself. So there are three main schools to Feng Shui. The classical school is the form school, which, as I said before, focused on the landscape and the physical formations to find sites with positive energy that would support people's habitation. And out of that form school came the compass school, because they also used direction. And then they took it to another level. They would use the occupants' birth dates, including the year of the building that was constructed, as its principal methods of determination in the compass school product. Now, the Black Hat Set School, which, as you know, was formed back in the 1980s, uses the Bagua mapping instead of the compass as its main tool. Now, I pretty much work with all three schools in a more organic way because I look to the land and the environment surrounding the location of a person's home, and the natural formations of that land, before I then go in and use the Bagua to make mapping of the land grid as well and the home itself. The compass is very important too, to know which direction you're facing at the front door and the back. So these three elements work very well together, even though they are more singularly determined. Now, some of the key Feng Shui principles, of course, are qi, which is the universal life force. We want to know how that qi is coming into the land, how it's coming into the home. And then that is also in collaboration with the balance of the yin and the yang, right? So it is about balance, harmony, energy flow. And there are two cycles. They're called the constructive cycle, which helps to feed the elements, the 5 elements, and the destructive cycle, which creates obstacles if it's in a destructive cycle space. These all are the 5 elements, as you can see here. We have water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. This is a picture of a constructive cycle. Now, the qi and the balance of the yin-yang. So qi refers to the vital dynamic force or life force, life energy that flows through everything. It flows through our bodies, it flows through space, it flows through buildings, landscapes, and all living beings in space itself. And what Feng Shui aims to ensure the smooth, balanced flow to prevent stagnant or blocked energy in your home or in your space. The yin and the yang represent the dualities of existence, the light and the dark, active and passive, masculine and feminine. And Feng Shui seeks to create environments where these opposing forces are in harmony, since imbalance can disrupt well-being. And we'll get into some more examples of the yin environment and a yang environment. So we'll go to the constructive cycle now, and this is the beneficial cycle, which is feeding and nourishing these natural 5 elements. As we had said before, the water feeds the wood feeds the fire feeds earth feeds the metal, and metal feeds the water. And you can see it in this diagram over here as a constructive cycle. And we take that application of those 5 elements into the Bagua to make sure that these elements are being honored and supported within the Bagua mapping as well. Then we have the destructive cycle. So the elemental energies influencing one another in an overpowering manner is what this destructive cycle is all about. And that would be when earth controls water, water controls the fire, fire controls metal, metal controls wood, and wood controls earth. All of these things, all of these elements, if they're in those positions, overseeing and overforcing that next element is what the destructive cycle is. So we want to make sure that that's not going on in the home or the land environment itself as well. So the 3 main areas of focus when I do a Feng Shui consult for someone is the Bagua isn't just for homes, it's for the land, for business, and for each and every individual room within the structure of the building or the house. By utilizing the Bagua map for the application of Feng Shui for a client, I go to the land grid first, and that can simply be someone who might send me a picture, through the email of a plot plan. If they're in Switzerland and I can't make it out there to do their analysis, they will send me a plot plan so that I can see the structure of the land itself. And sometimes the plot plan will have a home on it, or if it's just a piece of land that somebody is trying to determine where to put the home, then we'll look at that factor as well. But the plot plan can also have the home drawing on it too, for clients that are far away and can't or I can't go to see them, we can do a virtual assessment of their home as well. So we look at the land grid first, then I look at the structural frame of the house or the building itself if it's a business, because it's very important to see the house frame itself has its own Bagua mapping. And then the third level is the individual room grids within the structure of the house. So those are the three areas that we look at when we do a intake for analysis for Feng Shui. And here's just some nice little pictures of those three areas. We look at the landscape design. Are there any beautiful water features? And that top one you can see with the stones and the water coming down, there's plants, very auspicious, very beautiful. And then below that, you can see the white little bench that's there. That's actually a picture at my house. I have a water pond out front of the front door. When you walk to the front door to the left is where that water feature is, which is auspicious again. To have that in that position, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. The building design itself is very important. You'll see how to go to the building. You'll see that walkway there. And if that walkway is straight and not curving in any way, then it's known as potentially causing poison arrows going to the front door. Very fast energy, which is what we don't want. It's best to have a meandering building design on the land itself, because in nature, things are formed in circles or they're formed in a meandering, round way. They're not straight arrow pointing things. So when people have that in their landscape or building design, we work to round it off or to create meandering through gardens or through the front walkway and things of this nature. That's very important because of the poison arrows that create energy coming too quickly. It can be from the street. It depends on what is in front of the building and what is surrounding the building itself as well. And then you can see that front door. That's actually my front door with the red energy, the fire energy, because red is a protection. So I recommend people to have their front doors in red to create a protective environment inside, stepping in. And then you go to the room design, which I thought this was lovely in one way because it shows the roundedness and not sharp corners, which can come through furniture that has pointed edges instead of rounded edges can also send out that energy of like the arrows pointing out. So if you have furniture in your room, it's really great to make sure that those edges to drawers or to dressers or to your bed, that it's not, or even in the kitchen or any place like this, your living room, you want to make sure that you have the rounded edges so that when you're sitting down, let's say reading a book in your bedroom or at a desk in your room or in the living room, you don't have that chi, that energy that comes from a sharp corner being directed at you while you're sitting there. Because even though it's an invisible energy, it still creates that energy. So rounded edges in furniture is very beneficial. And if you have those pointed edges in any of your furniture, you want to make sure it's just not pointing directly at you, whether you're in bed or sitting on the couch or things of this nature, so that you're not getting, bombarded with the sharp arrow pointed chi energy. That's very important. So we have the landscape design is important, the building design itself is important, and the individual room designs are very important as well. So when using the Bagua from the Black Hat set tradition, it's we find the balance of the yin and yang in the land and in the home. We determine how the chi enters the property and how it enters the home and flows throughout the spaces, because this is very important to not have stagnant energy or stuck energy being collected in any space that is, number one, not cleared. So having your space be cleared and not cluttered is very important, because qi tends to get stuck in places where there's a lot of clutter, or if there's too many things in the room itself, it can get stuck. And the other thing is that in the center where the yin and the yang reside in the Bagua, that is in the best interest of everyone to keep an open space and not put things in that open space. So in the center of all rooms, you want to think in terms of the yin and the yang being in the center of that living room, being in the center of the bedroom. And you want to keep it open because that's where the health energy is, and that's where the flow can go around the whole room. If there's something stuck in the middle of the room, then it ends up creating a lack of that qi flowing. So it's better to have, things in the rooms that are on the corners, let's say, of the room, with at least an open space in the center of all rooms. Then we also look at the 5 elements: the water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And we consider how the 5 elements are displayed on the land and in the home using the Bagua. So here's examples of some of the Baguas that we have. So it's basically an energetic blueprint to your land, to your home, and to your individual rooms. So this one on the left-hand side, you can see it shows the life sectors of the Bagua. In the very front or the bottom of the screen, you can see there are 3 main areas that the front door always faces, and that is the knowledge, spirituality sector, the career, which is right in the center, and the helpful people and travel section. So, and this is how the flow of a constructive cycle would go, would be coming in the front door, which might be the career, or it might be the knowledge, or it might be the helpful people, depends on where your front door is. And it would come in, and then it would circle around the entire structure of the house, and it would do the same thing in each individual bedroom. And it does the same thing on the land itself. Now, I also look at the directional Bagua and a seasonal Bagua, because I think taking these elements into consideration are all very important. So you can see here it has, which would be considered a compass directional Bagua. It has, the north, the south, east, west, and then the northwest, the southeast, and the other minor areas. So we take that and place that to see the land grid and where that's located, right? So for instance, my front door faces the south direction. My meditation room faces the east direction. So I've created these things purposely because of the directions and what I want within the spaces of those directional energies as well, just for an example. And then we have a seasonal Bagua, which talks about the spring, the summer, the autumn, and the winter, and where they're located. And this is true also in many traditions, because it's like almost the time of life, right? The north is the newbie coming in, going in. I'm sorry, the north is the elders, excuse me. The east is when you're born, you come in, it's the rising sun. It's a part of your rising sign in astrology. And the east is the place to meditate, because that is the rising sun, to become enlightened with the new day's energies. Then the summer, south-facing energy is where, the things grow the biggest, right? In your garden, let's say, in the south during the summer solstice, that time of the growing, the blooming, and the sun is at its highest peak at that time of year as well. Then the sun starts to wane, and that's when it goes down to autumn, which we're in right now, and that's the west direction. And then finally into the winter for us who have winter climates. I'm in the Northeast. And so the north is the location of spirit. It's a time also that the body and the mind and the spirit go inward. So the east is, the spring equinox. It's the time to plant seeds, to awaken from the winter slumbers and all the things internally that we go through. And then it goes into the planting, and then we go into the blooming season, right? And that's true for ourselves. It's the fire season as well in the south, right? Then it goes down and the sun is waning more in the west. And that's the time to, prepare the harvest, to, collect, everything that we've experienced in the first birth of the east, of the spring, everything that has grown to its fullest potential in the south in the summer. And now it's time to harvest and to collect all of those things and to get ready for the winter that's approaching, which is a time for us to, go inward, to not be as busy as we are in the summertime, to take that time for inward reflection, for the ability to ponder what the last three seasons have been like. What have we done that we've enjoyed? What have we done that we would not do again, that we want to let go of? And this is the time that we would then construct what we're going to plant for the coming spring. So everybody in life is generally so busy, but in a natural rhythm, this is the time that we should step back a bit and be more contemplative internally instead of external. So there's a season for everything, essentially. And these are the three Baguas that are very helpful in creating a holistic approach to Feng Shui as well. Now, for some people who have homes that are either squares or rectangles, we have the 9 square Bagua, which makes it easier for them to take that square as a map and to place it over their homes so that they can learn how to do some of this for themselves, and to see where the main life sectors are. And remember, I said that the front door in the Bagua is always in one of the 3 bottom positions on your screen: the knowledge and wisdom, the career, or the travel and helpful people. That's how the Bagua map is placed. The octagon Bagua is the same thing. It's just that it shows how it comes into that yin and yang, because ultimately, this is where all the energies meet from the life sectors in the center, which is why it's important to keep that center open so that they can meet in the center and then spiral out and around with the chi. So those are 2 different Bagua maps as well, even though they are all the same with regard to the colors, the life sectors, and the flow of the energy as well, which goes clockwise from left at the bottom all the way up and around, down back to the center where the career is, let's say. Now, as I had said, the front door is always in one of 3 main areas, and that's what those are. This rule itself applies to any plot plan for land, any building structure, and any room in the building itself. So for the land, if you have a driveway, you would look to the driveway as the entrance of the land where that's located. And that Bagua map would go based on that, where it is on one of those 3 bottom areas: the knowledge, career, or helpful friends sector. That's the land grid. Then you would go to the front door for the home or the building, and that's where you would place the Bagua map there. And then in each of the individual rooms, you would take the length of that wall where that room is to determine which of the 3 areas that door leading into the room is located. Okay. All right. Whoops, sorry about that. So activating the life areas and the art of intentional placement. So we are the masters of our own choices and destiny and manifestation. We have all of that within us because we're sacred beings. So The key to activating the life areas is to know what each sector represents, the associated main colors of each of those sectors, what the elements are. The symbols, intentions, and the meaningful objects is what you choose to place in those areas based on those previous representations, the sectors, the colors, and the elements. So I'm going to give you some examples of activating the life areas. So in the career section, the color is black. It's the water element. So at my home, for instance, when I enter that front door, I immediately have 2 black tourmaline crystals in the grid on the bottom of the door entrance area. Now, black tourmaline is a stone that repels negativity. It absorbs it, and it does not have to be cleansed. It has its own self-absorbing qualities. So where that front door entrance is, I have 2 big pieces of black tourmaline in the grid space of the entranceway. You can add elements like a water fountain because it's the water element. You probably don't want a black wall area there. So you can do light blue or gray walls, which are symbolic with the water as well. And then you can add objects with black, blue, or gray colors, or black or blue crystals, water paintings, shells from the water environment, anything like this would support the career sector. You could put up a picture of your career, what that is, and make that a symbolic representation, and try and have it in some sort of at least blue background or something like this, but that will support your career. Or you could even put your business card in the career sector to enhance your career, things like this. It's about enhancing these life sectors, okay? Now, on example 2, we look at the fame sector. The fame sector, the color is red, it's the fire element. So you can place images there of what you want to be known for, an expert in, what you want to leave as the legacy for your life in the world. Any certificates, diplomas, things that you have that culminate collectively to create your fame, okay? So since it's the fire element, it's good to place a fireplace there or a stove, right? Because it brings up the fire. You can have a red candle there, a red stone, wooden objects, because wood feeds the fire. So you're feeding that fame, that fire symbolically of the fame sector. And this is a great place to also have, for the house itself, incense and sage sticks for burning. Now, I recommend that people burn a candle at least some of the time on a daily basis, and it would be great to have it in that area as well. And also to light incense every day, just at least 1 stick, because it's qualifying a sacred space. You're intentionally putting those elements into that space, which then uplift that space for you. And it's through your activity that then heightens that energy in that space for yourself in your home. Okay? The next final example is the wealth sector. I figured people might enjoy this. So the wealth sector is the far left corner of the grid of the Bagua. The colors are gold and purple, and it's part of the wood element as well. So a great thing to do to enhance your wealth there is to place gold pictures or statues. Like I have a golden Buddha on my little table there, right? It's just this beautiful little golden Buddha. I have a picture of Lakshmi, who is the goddess of wealth in the Hindu tradition. She's sitting on a lotus flower, and coins and everything is just, flowing through her because she's the goddess of wealth. So her picture is in that wealth corner of my house. You can also put coins, gold jewelry, a varied group of different currencies over the world. So, you know, like I have a variety of different currencies in the wealth corner as well. Purple crystals like amethyst, and again, wood items, because this is all feeding toward the fire element in Feng. A Chinese rainbow fluorite pillar crystal is wonderful because it represents a wealth of healing energy. And I'm a practitioner of magnified healing energy. So I have that crystal there because I want to bring that healing energy to my clients. And so it's a representation of my wealth, which I care very strongly about the wealth of healing for myself and for people. You can also put a lamp in the wealth corner, but you want to make sure that the shade itself is pointing upward, not bringing down, okay? So that's really important to support symbolically the wealth rising for you in that area. And you can place an image or symbol or item that represents the wealth that you seek personally, whatever that is to you personally. Okay. So I have this little exercise I thought you might enjoy doing. And you can certainly do it now while we're talking, or you can do it after the presentations at the end of the day. You want to find a Bagua map of some kind that you relate to for yourself that makes it easy for you to do this. And you want to draw a sketch of your home on a piece of paper, the structural, skeletal frame of the home first, right? I would practice with that opposed to the individual houses. Then you would take that and you would place it symbolically in your mind's eye over the home, your home, with the front door facing one of those three bottom areas that you'll be drawing, so that you can have a sense for what that Bagua map looks like for your own home drawing. And it can just be a pencil drawing. You don't have to be an architect or anything like this, right? That's very important. But this would be a good exercise for you to do so that you can start to see the Bagua in place of on your home grid itself, which is very helpful in determining where the elements are and where the life sectors are. And it can be a good start for you if you're interested in this aspect to enhance your home environment. Then you can start by doing something simple like this, which is very nice. Okay, just have this. Can't even see the top of my slide, but it's about creating harmony and balance. And these are just some lovely pictures, and also using color therapy. Okay, so the left picture, as you can see, is a person's bedroom. What a beautiful place. Maybe it's like where Sam lives in Costa Rica, and it has a very muted, very soft color theme in there, right? Because don't forget, when you're in your bedroom, you don't want bold colors because that space is your sanctuary for rest and rejuvenation. So if you have bright colors, either in your bedding, on your walls, anything that sort of promotes like the fire energy, right? The reds, the yellows, things like this. Those in color therapy are not the best colors for a person's bedroom. You would like pastels to support a peaceful, calm sleep. And it can be pastel greens, pastel blues, off whites, you know, things that are more relaxing colors, not vibrant, strong colors for the bedroom. And I thought this was a beautiful picture because it's very inviting. You can see it's just very relaxing. It feels very peaceful. So that's one thing I wanted to make mention about in using in your bedroom, because that's your place of rest and relaxation. Then the waterfall, you can make your own little waterfall. Even outside, if you own your own land and you're not renting a house or something like this, water features are wealth features, by the way. They bring forth wealth depending on where they're located, and we'll get into that as well. This is also a picture of the colors and what they represent. So for instance, let's say the blue indigo, it increases calmness, peace, love, honesty, kindness, truth, inner peace, emotional depth, and devotion. It's a very peaceful color, right? So you can see that these colors have energies to all of them, and it relates to a certain energy that then becomes a part of your energetic field, right? So it's important that you choose colors wisely to uplift or subdue and relax, to bring joy. Yellow is the color of joy. So this is why it's, in the center of the home. And radiant sun energy and exuberance in a joyful manner. And down below is just this minor picture. I have another one that's much better than this, but this one is someone receiving color therapy with each of the chakra colors on a med bed, or maybe it's just a massage bed. And they have this device that emits the colors over the person's body. So why do we use color therapy? Color therapy enhances the elements and energies within the space and all living things. It has all vibration and frequency, which is what we have. We're vibrational and frequency oriented beings as well. All of nature is, right? Even in structures that we think are solid, they have a frequency and a vibration to them as well. All right, these solid, quote, solid objects. So we want to use color intentionally in each area of the Bagua to enhance them, right? The energetic vibration of color relates to the elements and the sector colors as well. Using specific colors to each Bagua area helps to create support and balance for that sector in your environment. I thought these ribbons of colored light were really lovely. So here's just a picture why, the sacred self, the color therapy. So as I'm sure most everybody here knows, we have, the chakra colors, the whirling vortices of energy that spins within our energetic field, our light body. And those chakra colors also have physical locations, which is what this picture shows here. And there are associated stones to elevate, to cleanse, to support the chakra itself and the associated part of the body that it relates to. So for instance, we've got the crown chakra, it's the pineal gland, it's the purple color, it's amethyst, purple quartz, things like this, right? So that's a front view and shows where the chakras are located generically. And then this is the side view, so that you can kind of see the energy fields that go out. So the energy field to the body, the sacred body itself, goes out to where, if you put your hands out where your fingers end, that's your energetic or bubble field, right? That's how your energy field, your auric field goes out that far, okay? So that's just an example of sort of the front view and the side view. This is an aura photographic image just to show you. They have what's called Kirkland photography, and you can have a picture taken of your auric field. You can do it, if you know anyone who does this, they have them all over the place. And you can, sort of take a before and after photo before, when you were not using color therapy or, working on this, any of these things for yourself. And then you can work on different things for yourself, for the sacred self, and then go back maybe 6 months later and take another image and see if there's any difference. So this is the image of the hands, like the healing hands, with all the colors of the rainbow and the colors of the chakra, just like this image of the perfect chakra system, okay? Then there are color therapy devices, all right? And a lot of people use these things. I don't personally use them. I just like to be in nature and to dress with color and put color in my house. I like to do a plain sauna, wood-fired or things like this. I don't sit in front of colored lamps, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people love doing it. So those are just some devices that you could purchase, like the infrared red light panels that you can buy and sit in front of them, for so many hours or so much time. It gives you the directions on these things as well. And then one of my favorite books is the Stone Medicine Guide. So this is a Chinese medical guide to healing with gems and minerals, and it's just wonderful. It's quite a thick book and pretty heavy, but it's fantastic. So I wanted to just bring that to your attention as well for color therapy. This is the one time I actually went into a color machine. My daughter and her family live in Sarasota, Florida, and at this place called Mystical Oasis, they have that Vogel light color therapy machine. And so Vogel crystals are very, very special, right? Because they all have beveled edges. So you lay down on the bed there, and, I laid there for 1 hour and got this intense chakra, beautiful energy experience, which was very lovely. The machines cost thousands of dollars, so it's not something we can always have, in our homes, but it's a very beautiful way of balancing the energies as well, especially with Vogel crystals. If you do it, you want to make sure that the place you go has the Vogel crystals for their color therapy machine. Okay. Now, the other thing I do is being an herbalist, a certified herbalist, I work with herbal salves, tinctures. I combine crystals with them. I also use Bach flower remedies because I've seen such amazing effects for people using these remedies, right? And they have the color therapy connection. This is a poster I have here that talks about all of the Bach flower essences, what they relate to, what they're good for, and their colors as well. So the energetic qualities of the flower itself, along with its color vibration, are what the flower remedies are, right? So it's almost like homeopathic energies, right? It's very minute. You put the flower in the water, you stick it, because I've made them myself homemade. You stick it outside in the sun for so long, you bring it in, you discard, the flower itself, and then you have the vibrational frequency of that flower in that water, okay? And then you would use, this is how you make it homemade. Then you would use something, if it was for a child, you might use glycerin, a non-alcoholic preservative, or you could use alcohol, grain alcohol, for making it for someone who's an adult, right? Because it preserves it well. The glycerin you have to probably put in the refrigerator as well. So it's a beautiful way to take those flowers in based on whatever's going on for you, to help balance your energy fields as well. Just like homeopathic remedies are, they're wonderful as well too. This was a fun thing I wanted to share with you. This is a monthly newsletter that I get because I do a lot of yearly, when the new year comes up, like we're in the year of the snake right now. So in the Chinese astrology, because I work with astrology, it's one of the astrologies I work with. I'll go in every year, maybe around December, before the Chinese New Year comes up, end of January, beginning of February usually. And I'll go into the site and I'll gather different what they call cures or amulets or uplifting symbolic energies from I'm the rat in the Chinese astrology. So I go in to the fengshuimall.com before the New Year's coming up to purchase things that help in my analysis for the upcoming year, right? Once I get that upcoming year analysis, then I go in and I purchase different things to support my energy of the rat in life, right? So this one is really, really great. It's a monthly one, so it starts October 8th to November 6th. And of course, as I said, it's the year of the snake right now. And then it goes down and it tells you, it says the focus this month is on strengthening personal and professional relationships. And so there's a monthly information. There's a whole year overview, and then it comes down every month with, the specifics that you get like an email about, which is great. Passion, it says professional relationships. Passion from last year transitions into deep affection and trust, creating more meaningful foundation for love. At work, the pace slows this month, giving you room to strategize and build connections with colleagues. In relationship, the energy promotes progress. For singles, it's a favorable time to express your feelings and form lasting connections. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that, because when you find out what your, if you don't already know, what your Chinese zodiac sign is out of the 12 signs, it's really profound information, and they're very accurate in what they talk about for that sign, right? They'll give you all the signs when you go to the fengshuimall.com, so you can look up if you have children or your spouses or anybody in your family. You can also see. So I thought that was a really fun thing to show you as well. And now we're getting to the sample of do's and don'ts in Feng Shui. I think we're doing okay for time here. I have to be quick. All right, here's the beneficial ones. So outside flowing water sources in the front or side of the main door entrance only, okay? We'll talk about why later in a minute. A water fountain in the wealth corner. It has to be water flowing. It can't be a source that's just stagnant water. So that enhances the wealth in your life, in your home. You want to make sure you're sleeping with your head facing an inside wall. Very important and beneficial for your sleep and for your ability to sleep soundly, okay? Having a red painted front door, as I said before, it's just a protection for the home. Keeping the lid down on the toilet and the bathroom door shut, extremely important. All bathrooms should be closed. If you have a bathroom window and you want to open that up inside, that's fine. But in Feng Shui, you keep the bathroom door closed and you keep the lid down at all times. And then the other thing is to use incense and playing sacred music in the home on a daily basis. So this could be mantra music. I have some beautiful Feng Shui flute music. Any kind of beautiful sacred music, it puts the vibes into your home using the sacred sounds, right? Very important. I also have a gong, a Chinese chow gong, that I'll do as well in the home to clear the energy and to uplift it. So sacred music and incense and fresh flowers, by the way, because flowers also absorb negative energy. And you can see sometimes you'll have flowers for a week and they look like you just bought them and they'll last a whole nother week. Other times you'll have, if you've had people come and go in your house that is not normally that way, you'll see that all of a sudden the flowers are just dying. They're like literally not even making it for a week. So then they are absorbing negative energy. And you can actually experiment with this and see how things go with fresh flowers in the home. But I keep fresh flowers in the home just to absorb energy that might be negative, low vibrational, things like this. Another important part of the sacred home. And here's the detrimental don'ts in Feng Shui. You don't want water sources in the outside back of the house, okay? If behind your house, not at the front door, but behind the house, if it faces a lake, a pond, you have a pool back there, the symbolism of that, having that heavy water behind your home, is draining you. So it drains your life force. It creates disruptive relationships. It can drain your wealth, your money ability to maintain money and increase it. So it's very detrimental to have water behind the house. Now, there are cures and ways to adjust that, because not everybody can, change a lake that might be behind their house or some in-ground pool or something like this. So there are ways to help with that, but it's not an easy fix. It has to be something where the front door changes in order to make that more of a side position instead of the back. I've seen so many people that have had pools behind them. Their finances go down. They end up getting divorced. They also become ill. It drains your energy field. So it's really an important aspect of Feng Shui to make sure that that water is not behind the house, okay? You also do not want a toilet in the wealth corner. I had my feng shui master come one time when I moved up to New Hampshire from Massachusetts, and in the basement there was a beautiful big, holder of oil for the heating, right? And he was like, "Oh, that's gold. That's great." Then he saw a toilet sitting there, and he was like, "Get rid of this. This is super detrimental. Your finances, everything. You don't have toilets in the wealth corner." So that's a very important point as well. You don't want to sleep with your head facing a window because your spirit, when you go to sleep, leaves and it can be disruptive. Energy can come through that window very quickly. You can leave very quickly. It's just not a sound position for the spirit when you're sleeping. And also, you don't want your head facing a door if anybody came in. You won't sleep as soundly if your head's facing a door. You also do not want a mirror in the bedroom. Mirror holds energies. So if you have a mirror in the bedroom, I recommend you get rid of it. It can go into the bathroom, right? You don't want a mirror in the bedroom where you can see the bed from that mirror. Mirrors where they hold energy, and they're a conduit for energy to flow, actually. So you definitely don't want that in the bedroom. If it's something that you have to leave in the bedroom, you cover it with a cloth so that it's, especially when you're sleeping at night, so that there is no reflection going on. That's a very important thing because it can create detrimental illness and problems sleeping and things like this. And then you don't want a TV in the bedroom or a working computer in the bedroom because that's a space, it's your sanctuary for rest and rejuvenation, okay? So there are others of beneficial and detrimental relationship, but these are the main ones that I wanted to present. These are just some additional resources. I feel like I'm going over time here, so I don't want to be too late. There's wonderful books for Feng Shui that you can get, great music. You see the music down in that middle sector, my Feng Shui music. Crystal books on how to work with crystals, color therapy books, they're fabulous. And finally, thank you so much, everyone. I do private consulting and teaching, and some of my services are in these main 3 areas of wisdom and harmony, nourish and thrive, and healing and movement. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Shifu. Joe.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for the very enlightening talk. I really appreciate the points at the end. Just these simple little things that'll either make you or break you, right?
Right.
Oh, if anybody has any questions, we are over time, but we
Yes, sorry.
certainly answer questions if people want to add them to the chat. I have one question for you, if I may. How was the home defined in Feng Shui? Because you see, a traditional Chinese house often has different people living in it, and, an empty space in the center, you kind of like the courtyard style thing.
Right.
Whereas, the closest version we have to that in, maybe the more Western world often isn't one house, but maybe an arrangement of structures. Do you look at just individual houses, or do you sometimes look at whole properties as if they were a single entity?
Right. So sometimes, like if you have an attached in-law apartment or something like this, if there's anything attached to the main dwelling house, then that's considered. And so an important thing about that, which I didn't get into because I just don't have the time to do all of this, but you also want to make sure that there's no deficit to the structure of the house, because that would make a situation where you would lose that part of the life sector if it's not in balance to the rest of the house. So having like a house that is, a square, or having a house that's a rectangle, are usually the most auspicious, or even a circle itself, because those life sectors, those 8 life sectors, are not hindered. They're full, based on the frame of those structures. However, if you have an additional porch, like at my house, I have additional porch off the kitchen itself. It's in the fame sector. If that porch was more than half the size of the whole length of that back of the house, I would have a deficit for the missing corner area. But that area that's the porch is not even 1/3 of the whole length of the back of the house. So it becomes an added bonus in the fame section for the house structure.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
That's helpful. Um, if anybody else has any questions, please pop them in, and maybe we'll get to them at some point during the conference. But otherwise, we're gonna take a little 10-minute break before Louis Kamiati joins us and shares his wisdom with the impossibility of Daoist medicine. So thank you, Cynthia.
Thank
And
you.
see you back
Thanks,
in
everybody.
minutes.